Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So, first of all, let's thank Allah who has given us health and strength so that we can meet together in this Zoom meeting. Salawat and salam to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has bring us from the darkness to the lightness. Well, we are from group 2. We'll present about cohesion and coherence of discourse in the story of Layangan Putus on social media Facebook. But before we present our topic, I would like to introduce my group members. There are Sri Nurfitri, Isnania Ismail Tinmalasari, Tania Maharani, Siti Kurnia Aziz, Wiwi Satriani, Tuti Tazkia Umar, and me, Siti Alawiyah. So we're gonna start from introduction. As you know, discourse is spoken or written communication between people. And in discourse, the presence of cohesion and coherence is very important so that the discourse can be understood easily. And the research about cohesion and coherence has been done a lot, but there are still many people who have not yet understood the essence of cohesion and coherence from a text or discourse, such as Andayani 2014 examined about cohesion and coherence of the students' narrative writings, and the results of the study said that there were still many students who didn't understand the meaning of cohesion and coherence. The paper that we have analyzed is actually about the research, which is to find out how the use of cohesion and coherence in the story of Layangan Putus. And for further explanation, it will be explained by my friend for Srinaviti. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you. So discourse. So there are some researchers talk about discourse, but in this slide we mentioned 3 researchers. So the first is Rida Laksana 2008. Discourse is a most complete language unit and it is highest or larger grammatical unit in the grammatical hierarchy. So, however, the relation of discourse can be in the form of a complete essay, whole book, encyclopedia series, and so on. And next is paragraph, sentence, process, even what that carry the full mandate. So, meanwhile, Alwi 2003 discourse is a series of related sentences that connect one position with another position that form a unity. Here, the discourse is illustrated by sentence arranged sequentially in one meaning. The sentence arranged are interrelated to each other so that the fourth sentence may not be clear meaning if there is not third sentence, and the third sentence may not be clear meaning if there is not second sentence, and so on. So, Arianto 2001 define discourse as a text and context together. The focus of discourse analysis is to describe the text and a content together in a communication process. Arianto also argues about the importance of the elements of discourse, namely context, participants, intertext, and situation. So discourse is a form of practice social as a form apply the dialogue relationship between real event and institution with the social structure that occurs. So next slide. So we can see from this explanation, it can be seen that discourse is unit, the most complete element of language, composed of sentences, both oral and written, that form a harmonious and integrated understanding, both in terms of and in their phonetic manifestation, because discourse is demand to have structurally integrity. So itself, it built by components that are intertwined in an organization of discourse. This organization is called the discourse structure. In our organization, the structure of discourse can be decomposed or describe its part. So next slide. Let's see, a good discourses consists of a series of sentences that have aspects that are related to meaning between one sentences, linked to the meaning of another sentences from the beginning until the end. So this aspect include cohesion, coherence, discourse topics, lexical aspect, grammatical aspect, phonological aspect, and semantic aspect. So discourse integrity is also supported by the setting of context of the discourse. Comprehensively, it can be said that the integrity of discourse can occur from the interrelation between two main aspects of discourses, namely text and context. Some aspect of discourse mentioned above can be grouped into two elements, namely cohesion and coherence. The cohesion element include lexical, grammatical, phonological aspect, while the coherence elements cover the semantic aspect and the generalization aspect, where cohesion and coherence are almost the same, because some sign of cohesion aspect are also sign of coherence aspect, but it is still possible to distinguish them. So for more detailed explanation of coherence and cohesion will be continued by the next presenter. So back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for nice explanation. And I will invite the next speaker is Isnania Ismail. Will explain about cohesion, and for the speaker, time is yours.
Thank you for the chance. Okay, so the next topic is about cohesion. An article can be said to be easy to read and understand if it has neat form and cohesiveness of meaning. Tarigan gives the definition of cohesion, which is the aspect of form that refers to the formal aspect of language, namely how propositions relate to each other. To form a text, it means that cohesion is a syntactic organization where sentences are arranged in an integrated manner to produce discourse, both in terms of grammatical levels and certain lexical levels. The concept of cohesion basically refers to the relationship of form, meaning the discourse element, words, or sentences used to arrange a discourse have a coherent and complete connection. In other words, cohesion is included in the internal aspect of the structure of discourse. In this connection, Halliday in 1976 suggests that research on the elements of cohesion becomes part of the study of formal aspect of language. Therefore, the organization and structure of discourse is also concentrated and syntactic grammatical in nature. Holiday and Hassan further divided the cohesion of meaning into two parts, namely grammatically and lexically, which had to have cohesion contained in a unified text. In line with the opinion of Holiday and Hassan, Richard argues that cohesion is a grammatical and lexical relationship between various different elements in one text that can take the form of relationship between different sentences in one sentence. Thus, cohesion is one of the standards that indicate that a text or discourse is considered communicative. Without text, cohesion or discourse is not considered communicative. Holiday and Hassan in 1976 suggests that the elements of discourse cohesion can be divided into two types, namely grammatical cohesion and lexical cohesion. Grammatical cohesion consists of reference, substitution, ellipsis, and conjunction. And lexical cohesion consists of synonym, antonym, hypernym, repetition, and equivalence. I think that's all from me. I give back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you. That's an explanation about cohesion, and we move on to the next topic. It's about coherence, and will be delivered by Tim Malasari. So for the speaker, time is yours.
Well, thank you very much for the time that has been given to me. Thank you for the moderator. Now we are going to learn about coherence. We'll start from the definition of the coherence from Kerov in 2005, page 30. Coherence refers to how textual components, such as the configuration of the concepts and relationship that underlie the text, are mutually acceptable and related. If the cohesion is related to the information of the text, then the coherence is an aspect of meaning that refers to the aspects of speech, or that illustrates how implied preposition can be interpreted and concluded. According to the Rankima in 2004, coherence is interwoven parts of discourse, semantics cohesiveness that can be achieved by factors of sides of the discourse. So, coherence is the continuity of the information. In other words, coherence also is the understanding of the meaning that is owned by the listener or the reader, because the coherence refers to the aspects of meaning that require interpretation. Coherence can occur implicitly. The next slide. Well, as the semantic connections between parts of the discourse, coherence consists of two. The first, the signifying coherence. The signified coherence is the semantic connections between the parts of the discourse whose expressions is marked by the conjunction. Second, the non-signified coherence. The non-signified coherence is the semantic relationship between parts of the discourse that is textually not marked by the conjunction, but can be understood from the relation between the elements. It comes from the Variety 2002, page 34. Well, that's all the explanation about coherence. We're moving to the next material. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the nice explanation, and we're gonna move on to the next topic. It's about research methodology, and will be delivered by Tania Maharani. For the speaker, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the chance that has been given to me. Now I will explain about research methodology. This research was the qualitative research. In qualitative research, there are several types of approaches, namely ethnography, case studies, document or text studies, natural observations, centralized interviews, grounded theory, and historical study approaches. This study uses a document or text study approach. The study of document or text is an approach that focuses on the analysis or interpretation of written material based on the context. This study uses a document or text study approach because in this study, the material under study is a discourse from someone's post on the social media Facebook. And then the data of this study were the discourse quotation from someone's post contained on social media Facebook. According to Sugiono, data sources are all things that can provide information about data. Based on the source, data sources can be divided into two kinds. They are primary data sources and secondary data sources. The data of this study were discussed posts from an account on social media Facebook. The primary data source in this study was social media Facebook, while secondary data sources were literature, articles, journals, and sites on the internet that are really found on the research conducted. And then the main instrument of this study is the researcher, because in this study, the researcher is a planner, data collector, and data analyzer. And this study examines aspects of cohesion and coherence that exist in the discourse of the story Layangan, Putus. The data used in this study is written data. In this case, the researcher read the whole story of Layangan Putus and comprehended sentence by sentence in each paragraph. Then the researcher used the node technique and group the data into each data group to find aspects that existed in cohesion and coherence. After that, the researcher analyzed the cohesion and coherence of the data obtained by the researcher. Well, I think that's all that explanation from me about research methodology, and I give back to moderator.
Okay, thank you. That's an explanation about research methodology. And we move on to the next topic. It's about reference, substitution, and conjunction. And it will be delivered by Siti Kurnia Aziz. And for the speaker, time is yours.
Well, thanks for the chance that has been given to me. Now I will explain the next material and the next part in the article, which is about findings. So there are 7 main parts in findings, but I just explain grammatical cohesion, and the rest will be explained by the other member of my group. Well, grammatical cohesion. According to Summerland in 2003, grammatical cohesion is the relation of grammatical elements that include reference, substitution, and conjunction. Next, please. Okay, reference. According to Summerland in 2003, reference is grammatical cohesion in the form of certain lingual units that refer to other lingual units that precede or follow it. Well, there are 3 types of reference, namely personal reference is about reference by means of function in the speech situation through the category of person. Second is demonstrative reference, means categorize location, and the last is comparative reference that categorize identity or similarity. But in this course, Layangan Putus, the type of reference that arises is demonstrative reference, which refers to place and time. So we can see in the slide, for example, is aku 32 tahun, perantauan dari pelosok daerah, hidup di Bali sudah 14 tahun. Aku menjalani pendidikan dokter hewan di Universitas Negeri Udayana tahun 2004. So the word Bali means demonstrative reference to place. The second is suamiku yang kini sudah resmi menjadi mantan. Nah, the word kini means demonstrative reference of time. Next, please. Okay, the second part of grammatical cohesion is substitution. According to SYNONYMY in 2003, substitution is grammatical cohesion in the form of replacing certain lingual units with other lingual units. Based on the type of substitution submitted by SYNONYMY, there are two types of substitution that appear in this discourse. There are verbal substitution and noun substitution. Now, for example, tetapi hari Minggu kemarin kudampingi dia mengerjakan PR di buku tematik. Amir terlihat kepayahan dalam menyelesaikan soal matematika. Nah, the first sentence is verbal situation. Namely, the replacement of lingual units, they are categorized as verbs with other lingual units, which are also categorized as verbs. On the word mengerjakan, replaced by the word menyelesaikan. Nah, the second example is Amir terlihat kepayahan dalam menyelesaikan soal matematika, padahal saat belajar di Kubon, dia sangat lancar menjawab hitungan sederhana. Nah, the second sentence is noun substitution, namely the replacement of lingual units. There are categorized nouns with other lingual units. There are also categorized nouns. There are the word matematika replaced with hitungan sederhana. Next, please. Okay, the last part of grammatical cohesion is conjunction. Nah, the conjunction is one of grammatical cohesion that is done by connecting one element to another in the discourse in the form of lingual units of words, clause, phrases, sentences, and paragraphs. But in this discourse, there are only two conjunctions, which are coordinative conjunction and subordinative conjunction. Okay, we can see in this slide. Example from coordinative conjunction is dan, tetapi, and padahal. An example from subordinative conjunction is seraya, sementara, seketika, setelah, sambil, hingga, kalau, sebab. Well, I think enough for my explanation. I give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I will invite the next speaker is Vivi Satriani will explain about lexical cohesion. And for the speaker, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the chance. As the next speaker will explain about lexical cohesion. Lexical cohesion is the relationship between elements in the discourse semantically. So there are three parts of lexical cohesion in this discourse. First is repetition, the second is synonymy, and the third is antonymy. So what is the repetition? Let's see the next slide, please. Okay. What is repetition? Is a repetition of the lingual unit of sound, a syllable, word, or sentence part that is considered important to emphasize in appropriate context. So in this discourse, it has been found two kinds of repetition. First is epithesis repetition. The second is anaphoric repetition. So epithesis repetition is the repetition of lingual unit of words that are concerned several times in a row. So we can see the word sedang mentioned 3 times in the example on the slide. And the second anaphoric repetition is the repetition of the lingual unit in the form of the first word or phrase at the end of the next line or sentence. So if you see the example on the slide, the word aku appear 3 times as the first word in the sentences. And then the next part is about synonymy in the next slide. Next slide, yeah. Okay, synonymy. It is to establish an equivalent meaning relationship between certain lingual units with other lingual units in a discourse. So there are some kind synonymy that has been found in this discourse. First is synonymy clause or sentence with clause or sentence. If you see the example on the slide, there is a sentence musola memang tak berjarak jauh dari rumah, hanya terhalang satu rumah dari tempat kami tinggal. So the clause tak berjarak jauh and terhalang satu rumah means that musola is near from home. And the second kind of synonymy is synonymy of word with the word. Let's see the first example. There is the word nyaman and betah. So the synonymy of nyaman with betah is it means that comfortable. And the second example, there is a word lipat and rapikan. The synonymy is tidy up. And then the next slide. Okay, the third kind of synonymy is synonymy of words with phrases or vice versa. So in the first example, there is a word liburan and camping. It means that it is about holiday or vacation. And the word api unggun and membakar kayu, the synonym of this word is bonfire. And the second example, there is the word bersandar, meminta, memohon, that has the same meaning also. And the last part of synonymy is synonymy of phrases with phrases. There is phrases memutus komunikasi and bersikap acuh, which is the synonym means that there is ignorance. And the next slide about antonymy. Yeah. Antonymy is also called opposition of meaning. So there are some words that have the opposite meaning in the example on the slide. Let's see the first example. There is such as surat cinta with the opposite meaning surat peringatan. And the second is the word pertemuan with the opposite meaning perpisahan. And the third example, the word dunia with the opposite meaning akhirat. And the next slide about temporal coherence. Next slide, please. So temporal coherence, it is the relationship of time meaning between one sentence with another sentence. So if you let's see the example on the slide. There are some bold words, and in the six sentences there is relationship between the meaning of time stated with setelah 12 hari, 10 hari lalu, 8 tahun pernikahan, tahun 2005, 14 tahun, and 4 bulan lalu. I think that's all about my explanation. I give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, that's an explanation about lexical cohesion, and we move on to the next topic. It's about causality coherence, contrast coherence, and chronological coherence. And it will be delivered by Tuti Tazkia Umar. For the speaker, time is yours.
Okay, the next topic is coherence of intensity. Coherence of intensity, namely coherence which states the seriousness or affirmation relationship contained in a number of markers. Its function as a relation between one sentence with another sentence. For example, gue yakin banget Mas Aris selingkuh. Sejak awal gue hamil. Awalnya gue kira beranda orangnya. Gue marah, gue kesel, gue emosi banget malam itu. Gue ikutin dia sampai ke hotel, gue labrak kamarnya. Bayangin tak, gue labrak kamarnya, tapi ternyata bukan dia orangnya. Okay, we can see the example above. Among the sentence, there are expression, the seriousness, and affirmation. And there are conjunction is sejak and tapi. Next slide. causality coherence. This is coherent is stated by the first sentence stating the cause, while the next sentence states the effect, then states the effect. Following is the use of cause-effect relationship in sentence and example. Ini ada suatu project. Ini project rahasia. Gede banget nilainya. Project ini dilaksanakan di Turki karena ada urusan diplomatik di sana. Mereka meminta aku untuk menyediain suatu alat untuk mendukung alat komunikasi mereka supaya mereka tidak mudah disadap, dan proyek ini proyek impian yang merebutkannya juga banyak banget, dan aku nggak boleh kasih tahu siapa-siapa. Aku nggak boleh ngasih tahu sahabat, teman, even istri. Aku nggak diizinkan ngasih tahu soal proyek ini karena ini memang proyek rahasia. Okay, causally coherence in the example above, in the sentence, there is cause and effect. It means coherence causality, and the coherence is marked by the conjunction. For example, karena, supaya, and even. Next slide. Contrast coherence. Contrast coherence, namely coherence, which state the relationship of contradiction or resistance between one sentence with another sentence. For example,
Oke, aku kerja buat kamu, buat Raya.
Oke, fine. Kamu kerja buat aku, buat Raya. Fine, thank you. Tapi yakin buat aku sama Raya?
Ya iya dong, buat siapa lagi?
Terus ini apa? Lydia dan Nira itu siapa, Mas? Namanya ada di mana-mana loh. Di sini kamu sampai transfer berkali-kali ke dia pakai rekening yang kamu sendiri. Pakai rekening yang aku sendiri nggak tahu loh. Nggak tahu loh kamu punya siapa, Mas. Okay. The contrast coherence in the example above, the dialogue in the example above is a dialogue that occurs as a debate between Mas Aris and Kinan. And there is contradiction things, and there are conjunction, there are tapi, and just tapi then. Okay, next slide. Chronological coherence. Chronological coherence, namely coherence, which state the relationship of time series, that coherence is often shown by conjunction, which states temporally. For example, kenapa Kapadokia?
What?
Aku nanya, kenapa ke Kapadokia? Gini ya, dari semua tempat di dunia ini, kenapa Kapadokia? Why?
Oke, enggak. Jadi aku...
Okay, then in the example above, the sentence expresses a time series relationship. This coherence is often shown by conjunction that express temporally with conjunction. There are Ginia and Jadi. Okay, I think enough from me. Back to the moderator.
Okay, that's the explanation about causality coherence, contrast coherence, and chronological coherence. So we're gonna move to the conclusion of our topic, based on the result of research and discussion of cohesion and coherence of discourse in the story of Layangan Putus on social media Facebook. It found variations in the use of cohesion and coherence. And in this study, there are two problems examined, namely cohesion, including grammatical cohesion and lexical cohesion, and coherence, including temporal coherence, contrast coherence, causal coherence, chronological coherence, and intensity coherence. And from the research mentioned above, the elements of language use contain cohesion and coherence, so that the writing of the story Layangan Putus was interrelated between one language elements and other language elements. So I think that's all our presentation about cohesion and coherence of discourse in the story of Layangan Putus on social media Facebook. And we are from group 2. We'll say thank you so much for your nice attention and participation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.